What's good, everybody? 3x to the Lex, right back at you with one more video. Let's get into it. Today, I'm here to talk to you about Tobal 2. One of my favorite fighting games ever, and perhaps my favorite fighting game of the 90s. And this, in the 90s, was loaded with fighting games. And this was just an absolute standout game, you know. I would say of the 32-bit era, it was at the top. It was at the top of the mountain, I would say, for the 32-bit era. It's just a phenomenal game. To talk a little bit about the backstory of this game, it was the main designer of this game was Sishi Ishii. He was the main designer and creator of the original Virtual Racing, and then the next year, the original Virtual Fighter. After having success with the first Virtual Fighter, he moved on to Namco from Sega, and he went to Namco, and he was the original creator the next year in '94 for the first Tekken, and also in '95 for Tekken 2. So, those games pretty much pioneered the 3D polygonal genre, fighting game genre. Just absolutely iconic 3D fighting games. I mean, you're pretty much talking probably the two most important 3D fighting games ever, Virtual Fighter and Tekken. I mean, it pretty much kicked off the 3D fighting game genre, and those games were pretty much without competition or peer when they first arrived. Everybody were they became such big successes. Everybody was trying to rush and catch up to those. They eventually had a lot of sequels and so on. But after creating Tekken 2, he moved on to Squaresoft, and Squaresoft pretty much helped him form his own company, the Dream Factory. So the first game that they started working on was Tobal number 1, and they worked on Tobal number 1, and I believe it started development in '95 after he finished Tekken 2 and he moved to Square and he formed the Dream Factory with them. So he took the things he learned in Virtual Fighter and Tekken, and Tobal 2 is kind of a mix of Virtual Fighter and Tekken, and it has more of an anime style characters. It's a phenomenal game. It borrows a lot of the aspects of Tekken and Virtual Fighter, but it has a unique 3D movement, and it also has unique 3D grappling, and that's what makes this game unique and so good, is because it was very innovative for its time, and it brought a lot of things to the genre that weren't there at the time, and it was really ahead of its time and way ahead of the competition. Plus, graphically, when this game came out, it was just like a revelation on how good this game looked. Frame rate was like that 60. Extremely high resolution for the original PlayStation. It really pushed the hardware. So after the first Tobal, they continued working on Tobal, and the next spring they released Tobal 2. Now Tobal 2, in addition to having the fighting game, was also had a quest mode too, which was rather in depth. And basically, the game pretty much had a quest mode, and it really involves you going around like fighting all of the boss characters, but going through the mazes and dungeons and encountering other characters, and it was incredibly challenging at the time. So it was very, very, very good too. But anyway, Tobal 2 never came out here. And it's an outstanding game, man. It still looks great today. It's very smooth, and it just plays phenomenal. So when you get your Virtual Man build, Tobal 2 is in the build. So you'll definitely get a chance to check this game out. I highly suggest you do. Gameplay, as I mentioned earlier, is like a cross between Tekken and Virtual Fighter. I think it leans a little bit more toward Virtual Fighter if you ask me. It had a pretty sweet juggling system too. And this was another thing too that was interesting about this game. All of the greats from the golden era of fighting games, which would be the early to mid 90s, pretty much started out in arcades. And this game was like console and PlayStation exclusive. So, you know, that was like one of the big factors. So like this game was never popular in America, really. Tobal number 1 came out, came with the Final Fantasy VII demo. It wasn't incredibly popular. In fact, when it first came out, I didn't even know about the game. I ended up renting it and realized how fantastic of a game it was. But, you know, definitely the game was never really popular in America. And like I say, by the time they got the part 2, it never came out in America. And like the series pretty much stalled out after that, unfortunately. And it had a lot of potential. And he did go on to make several other fighting games after this. Ergeist, Kato Chojin. He made a couple beat 'em ups, the Bouncer, Crimson Tears. So they continue working. Ergeist, they pushed Ergeist a little bit more. I'm going to showcase Ergeist probably next to show you the evolution of the series. But Ergeist was pretty much like a different game. It took some of the elements of Tobal, but it was a little bit more melee based like Power Stone. As with Tobal was a little bit more focused on was a lot more focused on the fighting and the grappling and stuff. This one was more about the arenas. I'll show you guys in another video. Whoa. Yeah, Tobal 2 was the first one that introduced the fireballs too. So, first game you couldn't really shoot fireballs or anything. I think if this game would have got the proper exposure that it should have, and maybe the thing is like character-wise, background-wise, and actual characters, the game he made after this Ergeist, I actually liked better character-wise, and it fit more of a Western theme than this. But had this game used those characters and been properly promoted, I mean, it'd probably still be around today. There's no reason why Tobal wouldn't be pretty much the premier fighting game series right now and have the same longevity as Tekken or Street Fighter, to be honest. Because, like, gameplay-wise, it was at the top of the heap. But, like I say, it was very anime-based theme, very Japanese, and which is cool with me. But I really like the gritty nature of the characters in Ergeist, and that's pretty much what this game needed. And had it had that, it really would have took off and it would have got proper promotion. But nevertheless, this game was pretty popular in Japan. Look at that escape throw. Look at that. You can see a lot of inspiration from like Virtual Fighter and like a lot of the attacks. Like Akira has a lot of those step arounds and sharp elbows from Virtual Fighter. Whoa. Alright guys, that's Tobal 2. One of the greats, man. So definitely check that out when you get your Virtual Man build and your cab. Anyway guys, that's 3x to the Lex, and I'm out. And that's all I got for right now. Peace. See you on the next one.